Hello and welcome to episode 2 of our Timberborn 1.0 full release playthrough with the Folktales faction. Cycle 2, Day 1. Last episode, the first one in the series, we got started with a decent beginning. Could have done a little bit better had I paid a bit more attention to how the water was going to drain out and built some stuff on this other side instead. But we have plenty of time, well, I think we have plenty of time to improve that before the, where is that thing again? Before the big bad of the map detonates, which, of course, is these two unstable cores here and here of 4 radius each that are going to absolutely annihilate whatever's downstream of here unless we build some sort of defenses in. This is going to continue accumulating bad water. And, well, let's just say I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that. So, this natural depression here does afford us some long-term stability in terms of farming without building any additional dams. So I think it would be a good idea for us to, before things get too crazy, build a path through here that we can get to the rest of this and start moving some of our operations to this other side. Now, I did want to have a path over here so they could start without having to traverse this river, but we're, of course, also going to give them a way to do that. And I just don't want it to be exactly at this moment. I'm going to put the stairs down. I'm going to hit pause on those and let them get started over here, of course. It's going to be a while on this map before we get any fresh water because it does have to flow all the way around. People who have been around Timberborn for a long time will remember the original Helix Mountain map. That does take a tremendous amount of time for water to get to the center of it. They redesigned it, and it's it's a little bit different. But that original version, before I think it was update 4 or update 5, they changed that map. Regardless, we are, despite all this other stuff and all the doom and gloom about the impending bad water disaster, we're actually in a pretty good spot. So let's get this situated, and then while they're working on some of this, I want to talk to you about a couple of ideas I had to mitigate some of this incoming bad water disaster. So I'm going to put that right in the middle there because it's going to give it a nice range, and once we cut down some of these trees, we can use more of that, and this is the area that is irrigated. So we will be following the shoreline pretty closely here. Again, this is not the permanent access. That's just the one that we have right now. Actually, if it's not the permanent one, then I really should rotate this around. Let's do, yeah, okay. That'll work. That's serviceable. Let's do that, and then I can have this come over here, and then, of course, we'll do a little bit of that. Let's pre-plant before they get to this. Some carrots, because it's going to be a while before this is irrigated, and this, in theory, could be a whole lot faster. Let's do some carrots within a pretty close radius there. Some people said they want to see sunflowers, which, all right, I will oblige you. Right there, and then we'll go ahead and do this, and then I'll do some potatoes a little bit further out. Now, I know this is not currently irrigated, but it will be at some point in time. And that is what we will, that's what we'll roll with for right now. We have 3 vacancies that need to be filled. We have probably, I guess this is going to be fine. They can't get into this forester for planting stuff anyway, so let's hit pause on that. Let's make sure we got enough beavers to take care of this. These are paused. These are deprioritized, as they should be. And now we should be in a decent spot. I don't want to deprioritize the food-generating buildings because, well, I have a habit of forgetting things. I know that's not a good thing in a situation like this, but it's fine. So we'll let them take care of this. We'll continue going around the map, and then I am going to end up building some water retention, some dams and everything. But we do need to discuss what is going to happen here. Of course, when this detonates, it's going to provide a torrent of bad water to everywhere we don't want it to. But it's also going to end up destroying at least a little bit of our science stuff here and essentially make this area completely impassable. So what some of you suggested in the comments was that we find a way to get over here, get this science for an early game boost, and also the hidden storage of explosives could prove useful, even though we haven't unlocked those yet. We've got some extract over here. Of course, the entrances are obstructed by thorns, because why not? Just because this is a normal mode game does not mean this won't be hard. I did see a couple folks I don't want to necessarily say complaining, but I guess expressing distaste at my selection of normal mode for this. This is a hard map, and I got a lot of other hard stuff going on with the game right now, so I figured it would be fun to do normal. But if that's not your thing, that's okay. No hard feelings. Let's get through the rest of this night here, and then we'll talk about why I'm not going through the cave. Spoiler alert, it's because of brambles, and it's completely full of those. I guess, okay, they're called thorns here. I'm used to the Water Beavers mod where these similar things are called brambles, but you get the point. It's not going to be that expensive for us to send beavers over the stairs to get this way. There's a couple different routes we could take, and some of you guys detailed that in some comments, but I think the easy thing to do right here is just go across this natural formation, then go up, and then go down. Is it technically possible to have a shorter route if we don't go up quite as much? Yes, that is very, very possible. So let's trace backwards here. Let's come around to, let's say, is this just a one block down, or does that connect to a tunnel? It's just one block down. Okay. Yeah, like I said, let's build this backwards. Come through here and here. That gets us all the way up. And then all we have to do is get down. We could come up this way. And that might actually... No, it's not going to be shorter from the district center, but from our existing ability to get around, it could be once that is in place. Is there a pathway through these trees? There is not. Okay. So I'm going to say, based on the fact that there's thorns here and I can't bridge across those unless I unlock them and I have very limited science, it may actually be better for us to... I'll tell you what, let's save this. Apologies if this is exactly what you've suggested, but as I've said many times, I am a visual learner, and it's not always easy for me to determine what your goals are in describing things when you write a comment. I do try my best, but just fair warning if you're new here. All right, so this is going to get us actually respectably close. I think I can live with this. Now we don't have enough planks right now. We'll get that taken care of. Don't you worry, we're definitely going to get that taken care of. But for now, that is the path secured. We have this enormous relic that gets 3,000 science. Obviously, that's the closest one. That's what we're going to be working on. It takes a long time to demolish, but it's 3,000 science. So, you know, just makes sense. Now that we have power coming through here, 620 something. Okay, let's get a beaver here in the lumber mill. Let's get one pumping water, because we do still only have 12 beavers. All that talk about, oh yeah, they're going to have this taken care of before it's too late, and it still wasn't done. Yeah, well, is what it is. This has already been replanted. Let's hit pause. Get those 3 beavers in some other jobs, and then I think we'll be in a good space. I'm not going to need any more gears for a while, so we can leave that paused. This lumber mill, of course, is not the Iron Teeth lumber mill. It is a little slower, but it also it only takes 50 HP. I know that's not an issue when we're making almost 600, but it's good to consider these things. And slowly make more planks. Now, with the production rate of this, I don't think we're going to be able to finish enough planks to get all of these stairs done before the end of this cycle. And we're on normal mode. We're not going to have a bad tide until probably cycle 5 at the earliest. But remember that cycles are also shorter in normal mode. It's not just an issue of cycle numbers. It's an issue of total days, total production capacity, total time. So ironically, if we were playing on hard mode, in theory, it could be easier depending on, you know, these things are set to go off at whatever cycle they're set off. Say, for example, it is cycle 5. I mean, that would be absolutely demonic to have it be that early in the game. But if it were cycle 5 and we're operating in normal mode, which, let's say an average cycle length for normal mode is about somewhere around maybe 20 days at the longest when you get to the 9-day maximum drought or bad tide length, and then somewhere in the 11 to 12 range for the temperate cycle. That is going to be a lot fewer days than... A lot fewer, a lot less. I don't know. I haven't taken an English class in 15, 16 years. I really should know, because that's what Anyway, rambling aside. Nobody wants that. If this were hard mode, 5 cycles, yes, it does ramp up as time goes along, but your maximum drought length or bad tide length in hard mode is 29 days. Even if your temperate cycle length is a maximum of 8 days, that is still half again as much time. So even if the effects are going to be worse with the bad water duration or whatever, you will have more time on hard mode to get over here, and you can't disable it, but you can mitigate it. So I would make an argument that in some ways hard mode would actually be easier for this map. But I digress. Heavily, extremely, and without prejudice. Let's get these stairs going now that we're finally making some planks. And I do feel comfortable at this point in time, because we're not going to need gears immediately. Before I get rid of this and replace it with something else, we should come over here, take a power shaft. We don't have to do the vertical one just to get up on this thing. That doesn't make any sense. But let's route this around. And then, I suppose, would not be a bad idea to put another water wheel here. No, we don't need the capacity, so I'm not going to do it yet. But make provisions for that to be what we're going to be doing in the future. So, of course, these are super cheap, super easy to make. And we can obviously move something if we so choose. But I'm going to put the vertical power shaft to connect everything in the same spot it would normally be. And just route this back through here instead of spending the 25 logs to put the water wheel there. And then that is going to give us an opportunity to come over here and either, delete the gear workshop, put something else over there so it's closer to the housing. Or I can build a lumber thing over here and take care of it that way. Right now, we do have a problem with number of beavers. And we need to make sure we're getting food production brought back online. Nothing we can do about that until we have all these crops grown. But at least these guys are planting as well. And we don't need necessarily to have any more issues with that. So what I'm going to do, we've got 5 empty beds. We'll wait a little bit to see how many more beavers we have born. And until such a time as that, we can strategically juggle these guys. Remember, we have 4 of these inventors, so in theory we actually only have 1 vacancy that actually matters. But we do still want beavers in here from time to time so we can make science, so we can unlock things and get where we want to go. I think, given the fact that trees take a long time to grow, it's going to be in our best interest to unpause this forester, and for right now, hit pause on the grill. I know I literally said it just a couple minutes ago, we don't want to get in the habit of doing this. But in the time it takes for these potatoes to grow, the next like 5.5 days almost, one beaver in this forester can do a lot of good by planting some trees that can then be ignored for 30 days. They're just thought process on that. We've got a couple in here doing efficient farmhouse activities. And of course the builders can, do their thing building power shafts, although I'm going to have to idiot-proof these because, of course, the beavers are known to make bad choices. Yeah, I don't want to deal with stuck beavers. We call them silly billies sometimes. It's very frustrating. You've already seen it. So we're going to just move on from there. So could I have taken a more straight path technically, but this is going to involve, in theory, a much lower amount of planks needed. Maybe I could have come all the way around here and used 2 or fewer stairs. Actually, if I did that, I wouldn't have to do that one. I wouldn't have to do that one. I wouldn't have to do that one. That would be 3. You just come up to... Actually, it'd only be 2. I think the time savings on this route's worth it. That's probably going to make the most sense. Yeah, we're not making planks fast enough. And this is not going to be ready for some time. If I delete the gear workshop, then I'm going to get planks back. And we also don't need this to be connected. So, even if it might not make sense to you, this is what I'm going to do. Just get rid of it. And we'll pick up all of these things from the ground and move on with our lives. Let's get this set to triple speed. I don't actually have storage for much of this stuff. I know I don't have a storage for gears. So... before things get too crazy, I do want to build a little warehouse for those. Just make it nice and simple. Just put them right here so we don't have to worry about it. It's just so they can have somewhere to put something. Let's make that a priority. And then so on and so forth. So We'll get that taken care of right quick. Let them get back to what they're doing. And we can also move on with our own lives. Just as soon as they get that. Alright, good. And in we come with the lumber mill. Is the doorway in the same spot? It is not. It doesn't matter, but I do like to keep those kind of consistent when I can. Let's get that prioritized. Because honestly, we don't need the rest of these staircases immediately. And they'll go faster when we have more planks. Even though we now have 24. And in theory, 24 is enough to get us most of the way here. You got to take it while you can. And we're going to want to have those planks sooner rather than later. So now that that's taken care of, we do need to put in some sort of water retention management thing here. And since we're not going to have access to fill valves or throttling valves, which both of these have replaced the sluice that you might know from Update 7 and before, or previous versions of 1.0, it's going to be in our interest to figure out a way to divert bad water before it gets to this point. As it's going to be a little while before we have a stable metal supply. There is metal here, scrap metal, but there's not a ton. And while it is kind of close, it's not exactly convenient right now while we're trying to figure out a way to save a bunch of this science. And if we can manage to get into the dynamite and get that unlocked soon, maybe come up with some sort of an outlet channel. Depends on how this works. We've got dynamite here. We've got extract here, which, if you've played this game a lot, you know the ingredients for a tunnel involve a dynamite and an extract and planks. So we could, depending on how we wanted to handle this, make sure that since we have blockages in here, and this is in theory, well, not in theory, in actuality, completely blocked, if we made a tunnel from right around here toward the end of the map, the outside of the map, probably this spot, we would be able to theoretically divert a lot, not all, because there's going to be enough water behind this where it's going to be an absolute calamity no matter what, but this would help. Now, is this enough dynamite and is this enough extract? Actually, yes. 1 and 1 for each piece of tunnel, that would actually work. Is it realistic for us to actually have dynamite and... actually, you know what? Do I need to unlock dynamite to unlock a tunnel if I already have the dynamite? I don't think the answer is yes. But that's 2,000 science. I don't think we're getting there before, well, I couldn't tell you. But it's not going to be within the next 2 or 3 cycles. I can almost assure you of that. Because we're playing on Folktales, we don't have the number cruncher either. We have an observatory, but that in and of itself requires 1,000 science, and it must be powered. But it is a very good provider of science once that is set up and taken care of. Yeah, so we're still in the process of building some of this, because I know I have them focused on the lumber mill. But that's basically done. And we're not increasing our beaver population very fast at all, are we? Well, that'll come in due time. So I don't have enough beavers available. That's still paused. These are almost done being planted. I'm going to go down to 1 beaver, since those are almost done being planted. Take a look here. We're halfway through the carrots, which means we're like 1/3 of the way through the potatoes. Yeah, just about, a little bit less. Now, obviously, you don't ever want to stop pumping water, and we need to be pumping more, and we need to be storing more. But, of course, everything will come in its own time, and we want to make sure we have a safety plan in place for bad water stuff. The partial good news is that, just like the fresh water took a long time to get down here, the bad water will also take a long time to get down here, and by a long time I mean about a day, day and a half. But when it comes down here, boy, is it not going to stop. So, I don't know exactly what my best option is going to be, but we will need to figure out a way to keep enough of this nasty water from getting over here. We have 2 separate water sources that feed 2 separate sides. That's how the map is designed. Well, okay, there's more than 1 water source, but there's 2 separate ways the water can come in, is what I'm getting at. So if we want to take a gamble and try to protect the settlement versus protect the dam area, what we could do is build a comparatively smaller diversion setup by just putting in a bunch of levees and stuff across here, completely shutting this off so that this backs up, and takes a path of least resistance, which, based on how this is set up, actually we'd have to have this entire thing set up to be 1 block higher around the entire town. Or we take some of the dynamite that we find over here and we blast a channel, say, across this way. So the bad water floods down this side of the map at whatever the shortest point is for that we decide makes sense. I'm guessing, based on looking at this, it might make the most sense to do it at one of these points where it's diagonally a little bit shorter, but that of course would require zigzag dynamiting, and that is not guaranteed to be any less. In terms of, distance point to point, this is shorter, but in terms of dynamite required, assuming we are going to go that route, we would need to only get rid of comparatively little if we went, say, right about here. We could do 4 here, which would make it so that this would go down this hole if this backed up at this same height, which I don't know the force behind it if that would be too much, but this is all the same height all the way over to here. So if we were able to build this to this exact height all the way across this little bit of a gap here, in theory, not necessarily in practice, based on the water physics or whatever, but in theory, that would back up and eventually just go through here. But we won't know that we're going to have a problem until we know we're going to have a problem. Let's pause this farmhouse, send some beavers into some other jobs, and wait for the crops to grow. We do want to keep an eye on this. We have another day and a half until I have to turn these back on. The planting is progressing, and we do now have all of the essential jobs taken care of. We have one of the inventors populated. Yep, we got this guy in here doing that. So we're just continuing to cut things down. We've got planks coming in. We're in the process of building these stairs, and they are doing a good job. We're 1 staircase away, and quite a long trek. But we're 1 staircase away from getting over here to get this relic, which, by the way, 3,000 science. Remember what I said about the tunnels? That's 2,000 science that we don't have to make if we can just get it from the relic. And then, once that happens, we're already over here. So we could, in theory, just send them down here and start blasting away. If we decide that's what we want to do, which I think I'm going to have to make that decision before you guys have a chance to respond. If we're willing to sacrifice some beavers temporarily to injury on behalf of thorns, folks, we're going to be in a very good spot to not necessarily prevent, but mitigate a total disaster if we take care of the tunnels over that way, and if we also dedicate a little bit of time to doing one of these numbers. Actually, you know what? You know what might make more sense? I know the thinking's dangerous, right? It's only 1 block thick over here, so if I were to take that same 4 dynamite and go to, say, right here-ish, 1, 2, 3, 4 here, that makes a nice size gap. And then I could just come over to this exact same spot and just build the thing across this way. It might take a little bit more wood, but it would in theory be a little bit safer, so that it wouldn't overtop right here and would instead just get shoved down this hole, which does, still drain off the side of the map, but it doesn't flow underneath all of our crops. Not that that's really going to make that much of a difference if we already have clean water here, but that would be good. And then later on, of course, we can automate this with the help of the fill valves, throttling valves, and all of the automation stuff that I have promised we're going to utilize in this playthrough. So, food for thought. It's still Cycle 4. We're doing okay, and I've spent so much of this episode yapping that we probably haven't gotten that much actual stuff done. But soon we will have science of extreme magnitude. We've got the stairs already supplied, just need to have somebody come over here and take care of it. And then those same builders will start hacking away at this ostensibly abandoned satellite dish fragment. And then we've got little telescope pieces, and we've got our satellites over here. And yeah, this is now on the menu, which means we are going to pretty quickly get a good start there. And of course, we're still working on some of this. We can preemptively unpause these two so we avoid even further nonsense. But now it is disassembly time. Just as soon as they, you know, decide to come over here. I didn't prioritize it, which, in fairness, is on me. But once they finish with their duties over here, they should be able to get to it. And this isn't super, super crucial. I just want to make sure that we, before it gets too late, have something else taken care of. And that was our last gear. But not to fear. That rhymes. That was stupid. I'm sorry. Not to fear. This is going to be just fine. I am very curious to know why we still only have 2 children. We have 5 free beds. The well-being isn't heinously low like it tends to be in some of my playthroughs early on. Okay, they're still planting those, but that's not necessarily the biggest priority. There we go! Oh, okay, this is going a lot faster than I thought it would. Almost halfway to getting our 3,000 science here. Gonna be a game-changing acquisition, folks. This is just one guy all by himself. Who is this? Alright. Well, good job. And that's it. We got 3,100 science in cycle 2. Unprecedented. Absolutely unprecedented. And now, of course, we do have to navigate around here. This metal is in the way, so we can either go down and back up, or we can demolish this relic and then that relic and then continue our way across. We're going to have some fun with this one, folks. You know how it goes. This is this a tunnel that goes all the way out? Or is it just... Okay, no, that's fine. Yeah. I do have this pervasive desire to clear this tunnel out just so we can, you know, say that we did it. But that is not a Cycle 2 task. That is absolutely not a Cycle 2 task. Alright, so these crops have grown up. At least the carrots have. So it's time to get these guys back in here. And maybe, yeah, we're just about done planting. So I will let this guy finish, but we do... Oh, I turned that on right at the end of the workday, didn't I? Well, this is why you pay attention, folks. I'm gonna pause the lumber mills. We'll get some labor back and get these guys rolling on that. I'm gonna go down to 1 beaver and actually 2 because we have to harvest, but I'll go to 2 here. And then put 1 beaver in here because we are starting to get the carrots growing up. Just try to equitably distribute these things. Get anything else planted? Okay, there's a couple left. There's a few left that I have that want to be planted. I don't think we really need to worry about it that much at this point in time, so I'm going to pause it. And that should get us in a really good spot. Yeah, we only have 2 vacancies now. Still only 13 total beavers, so I don't know, maybe there's some weird math with empty beds. I think I remember seeing there has to be at least 1 empty bed for there to be extra beavers. There's 1 empty, 2 empty. Okay, that's not happening by yourself. Okay, so theoretically, why is this negative? Hold on. Why is this beaver at negative 14? Oh, you're hungry and you're thirsty. Well, it's all readily available. Just go get a snack. You're good. Just go. But just make it work. In the interest of beaver safety, I'm going to get off of 3 times speed. We don't necessarily need to, you know, spend a whole lot of resources sending beavers down here to clear this out. I just thought this was a good thing to get started. We don't know when this is going to go off. Again, it would be heinous, among other family-friendly terms for the degree of severity that this is. It would be ridiculous for this to go off by like cycle 5. But we don't know. So let's just bank on that maybe not happening. We are going to want to start making our way over here to start setting up this potential diversion. But importantly, we're also going to need a lot of logs. Remember, each levee is 12 logs. So that is, it's not going to be easily traversable that way. We're going to need to, maybe not need. Need is a strong term. We're going to want to come over here and start building out toward this way, which, you know, also gets us metal, which is good. The Iron Teeth get a new metal building in 1.0, but Folktales just have the same old metal smelting process, well, that the Iron Teeth also have. So it is going to be a while before we can actually utilize any metal that we may harvest. But we also have a geothermal field here. And as you may know, the geothermal engine is a very good source early game if you can unlock it with science. If only we had 3,600 science. Oh wait, we do! So guess what we get to do? We get to unlock the geothermal engine, and we have 30 planks and 50 logs. We can build this bad boy, and we can move some of our production over here. Not necessarily right now, but in the future, we'll be able to have plenty of processing over here. Could be a good spot for metal once that is up and running, but that is... Well, I can't say it's going to take time because of science, because we already have the science for it. We just don't have the beavers yet. We're still locked at 13 beavers. Why in the world is that? I wonder if that's a bug. I don't know. But I want more beavers, so I think it's going to have to become a scenario where I build additional housing. Let's just let's get them working on that before we get too far. I need to make sure that food is a little bit better. We need more water storage, and until I can reliably make more gears and have it not be ridiculous, then we're locked into small tanks. But also, it's normal mode, so it's fine. I do think, based on what we're looking at now, that it's going to be worth getting into gear production, which, again, is one of the reasons why I put this over here. Now, I'm going to do something a little bit, you know, again, that might not make sense. I'm going to turn this around this way because the next thing I build can be turned around like that. A couple extra steps for the sake of something being better later. And now these guys have enough stuff to build right here that it shouldn't be tempting for them to come over and... Oh, they already did that. Alright, well that solves that problem. We can leave this alone for the time being. We got our science, and we are able to get over here should the unthinkable happen and we get an alert in the morning that this is about to go off. So we got this amount of stuff. I do need to pause this before they... Oh, they can't even reach it. That's right, because the stairs aren't done. Let's deprioritize those. But we're making good progress. And again, we're not going to get a bad tide for a couple cycles, so this is all just a little bit of possibly paranoid future-proofing. But at this point, in Series 33 on this channel, if I die in normal mode, man, I'm going to have to retire this. Like, people are not going to tolerate that. Other notes I got from the comments. Oh, I need to mention... Apparently this map isn't available on the Steam Workshop, even though that's where I got it from, so I'm not sure what's happened there. You can download it at mod.io if you wanted to play it for yourself. Again, it's called Down the Plug Hole by the Neon Otter. I don't know if the username on mod.io is the same, but Down the Plug Hole, one word, plug hole, no space. You should be able to find it on there, and you can download and put that in your Timberborn Maps folder, and you should be able to enjoy this map. Well, actually, I don't know if enjoy is the right word, depending on how this goes, but I always love a good challenge. So they are just about finished here. Let's get this unpaused, and then by the time this gear workshop gets finished, this should be all connected. Again, this is providing plenty of power that we don't have to worry about it. We will want to, when the time comes, we will want to be able to get this power wheel, water wheel in here. But I'm not going to feel bad deleting one power shaft and getting that same log back just to get in here. That's not going to be a problem. We'll just roll with that. I wonder if I should have these stairs. I probably should. But I do want them making gears again as soon as possible, because we're on day 8 of cycle 2. We're probably going to get a drought warning within the next couple of days. And we're going to want to have more water than 188 stored up. Okay, now we have 16 total beavers. We've got 13 adults, 3 kits. After building this, it still shows we have 8 free beds. And beavers are living in this one, and there's one living in here. And these are... Okay, one of these has a space. I guess this is okay. Maybe it's just weird with how the beavers occupied the housing. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah, they're just needing planks there. This is not quite done. They'll get to that in the morning, and then we'll take care of that one. We've got 1 vacancy. That's looking fine. And hopefully pretty soon we'll have enough beavers to operate all of these jobs that we want them to be doing. Remember, we're still cutting trees down here. We've planted some oaks over here that will take... actually, we're already 20% of the way through. That's pretty good. Let's come out of triple speed, get this last power shaft in place. We'll put somebody in the gear workshop. We do only have 17 planks, which means I need to turn one of these on. And I think, based on how this is going, we're probably okay for at least a little bit of time until these beavers start growing up a little more. Which now brings us to the point of increasing well-being. And we're already looking good on the basic needs. Nutrition is about as good as it can be at this point in time. But we don't have anything for social life, aesthetics, or any of that other stuff. So, obviously, early game answer, easy one, is campfire, rooftop, terrace. We have the science to unlock basically anything we could need at this point, at this exact point. But let's go ahead, put in a campfire. I usually prefer to put these on non-arable land. Not that it super matters, because we do have a lot of land over here. But... yeah, you know what? This will be a decent spot. We'll have them build these stairs, and then they'll come down here, build a campfire. We can also put a rooftop terrace in, which does have to go on top of a building. So that means we have to put it right here or right here, but there's no easy path to get across anywhere, so that'll have to be a that'll have to be something we work on. Maybe we delay this for a little bit. I don't know that we have a tooth grindstone. Let's check, because I can't remember exactly what I've already put in. Okay. We do, in fact, have a tooth grindstone. That's good to know. Other cheap-ish things to build include the contemplation spot, which has absolutely no material requirements except 10 logs. Does not have to be resupplied. And we have these two little spots right here. I don't know that we need two of these right now. I'll build, I think I can get away with one. And then I'm going to unlock the medical bed and just put that one right there. One of the major benefits of... I don't think the contemplation spot allows you to do it, but if you unlock a platform, which honestly we should have done already, you can put it on top of the medical bed, and that way a beaver who's resting gets a well-being boost. The contemplation spot does not allow you to do that. Now, is this an expensive thing, planks-wise, this early in the playthrough? Yes, so I won't be doing it, but I just wanted to show you that that was possible. A better use of planks this early in the game is going to be to put one platform right there, and then we come back to our rooftop terrace that we previously could not get to, and put in a path just like this. Now, long-term, this will probably change. We won't keep this here, but it's probably the best place early on for us to be able to get to it and move on from there. We're putting logs in the campfire, and that shouldn't be too much longer. I meant to press the 3, not the 2. There we go. We should be looking pretty good. I know the gear storage is all the way over here. So instead, I will move a storage over to this side. I know I could have copied that, but that's fine. I'm not going to get rid of this because, it's always a good idea to have more storage for things. But we can also, since the gears come from planks, we can put a little pile here and have that be plank storage close, kind of nearby. Alright, day 10, no drought warnings. We're going to have a nice long temperate cycle. And now we have a campfire. We will very soon have a contemplation spot as soon as that's taken care of. And we'll need to monitor our situation with our logs. I know we're cutting these down, and that's fine. We have some over here that we probably should be cutting down and replanting. But the lumberjack flags that I placed were not in ideal locations. Let's go ahead and move those. I've got a space here that actually can reach almost all of these. Let's roll with that. Let's make sure these are marked for cutting, and not all of them are. I know they can't get to these in the back, but I wanted to mark them anyway, just so we don't have to worry about it later. And that is going to be probably about the best we can do for right now. We do have an injured beaver, so... oh, medical bed's already ready to go. Good, and they finished the platform, and the rooftop terrace is not going to be far behind. Alright, I'm feeling pretty good about most of this. We do have both farms staffed, and these are ready to get their stuff picked out. So we'll see what happens. This obviously is not the most optimal farming setup. But now we come to the point that I mentioned earlier on in the episode, which is we need to find a way to retain more water. So, we have, again, science is no longer an issue for right now. We do have dams unlocked. We do not have levees unlocked. We also do not have enough logs to really build much of anything. But if we want to retain water in here, all we have to do is start building across here. Even if it's just one level with the dams, that's a little bit to keep things irrigated. If we put in 2 levels, levees on the bottom and dams on the top, that gives us access to all of this water for pumping, which I think is going to be advantageous. So let's get this levee unlocked. Let's have this come across here and then have dams across the top. Now, we're not going to be able to build anything but what the beavers can stand next to or stand on top of. So, since we can't get through here, they're going to be building this vertically, one slice at a time. Probably not going to be done by the time we have a drought. But since it's day 11 and we still don't have a drought warning, we have at least 3.5 more full days, which means we have time to put in stairs to get us down here when they can build everything all at once. Now that these are done, this is the only construction remaining that basically is already done. So I'm going to get this staircase put in. And that's looking pretty good. Pretty good. No real complaints there. I would love to divert some beavers to construction, but I feel like the farming is a little bit more important right now. Remember, this -7 is really only -3 because we have 4 of these inventors, and those can easily be paused. We can also stop doubling up over here on all of the lumberjack flags, and we can have this guy... Oh, there's actually nobody in there. Well, now it's only actually -2. Which means if I pause this lumberjack flag, and I pause, because we don't need gears at this exact moment, pause this gear workshop, now it's net 0. And you better remember the internet provider named Net Zero. Never used them. People under the age of 30 probably have no idea what I'm talking about. Now we can put beavers in the farmhouses and get food a little bit better situated. And I can, importantly, unpause the grill as well. And that gets us to technically -3, which I don't know. I may have just bamboozled myself with the math again. That does tend to happen. Okay, well. It is what it is. I suppose I could pause the lumber mill as well. Yeah, let's do that. I do apologize for having to cut there. I needed to take a break to cough and drink some water, but we're good. Now we have beavers that can get in here and build from the top and the bottom. And they will need logs to take care of that, so it is a good idea to keep this paused so we're not spinning any more than we have to. And I think we're going to have to find a way to get some more beavers to work chopping down trees. I know I just took this guy out. That's an interesting problem, interesting conundrum for us here, because we still, for some reason, have not been able to have more than 13 adults, despite having housing available for 24. I don't know, maybe it's just the math of the beavers growing up and it taking a long time. Who knows? They will grow up faster if they have a higher well-being. We click on these little guys here. Yeah, they get that 10% boost from well-being level 10, which this one is right at level 10. So I guess that's good. But getting them to 14 for that 15% boost is probably a little bit out of our reach at this exact moment in time. And of course, these guys are crying about being hungry. Okay, I was about to say, if you go up this way, I don't know what you're doing, but it's not something I told you to do. Well, looks like all we can really do is wait, unfortunately. We are going to build the furthest one away first, because that is what I told them to do. Okay, well-being high score of 10. That's a good sign. I just need more beavers in here. Can't really afford to pause anything else. I don't want to pause water pumping if I don't know that I'm going to have... Yeah, okay, we might have one of the maximum length of temperate cycles here in normal mode. Which I'm not necessarily going to complain about. that one levee is done. That one's done. This is going to cause this to flood a tiny bit up on here for a brief moment once the rest of these levees are in place. I believe we're good. I'm just reluctant to take anybody out of farms for the purpose of building. I don't think we're going to need to worry about it, though. Because even just having one of these levels completed is going to be a big advantage to us. And how is this already 45 minutes into the episode? Man, we might not even get into the drought at all. Oh well, that's fine. Well-being high score of 11. The foreign staffed buildings, we already talked about why that's a thing. Yeah, not much else I can do except now we're we're kind of out of logs. Now I cannot pause. The district center hasn't been renamed. Somebody left a comment on the last episode telling me that. But as always, we do rename these guys. That's Beaverburg 33. There you go. Yeah, so I don't know. It's -5, which is really only -1. Do I want to go down to one builder to send another beaver over to get wood? I guess at this point it's probably necessary. But, oh, I got 3 beaver. I don't need 3 beavers over here. Just for right now, since, you know, we're looking okay on the food. Let's go down to 1 beaver in this farmhouse. This one still needs most of the help it can get. Yeah, we can. I'll leave 3 in here because we have a lot of potatoes that need to be harvested. That gets us to -3, which is technically +1, which means I can turn this guy on. There you go. And I probably should just build these stairs, but I'm not going to do it right now. We've still stored no more water than we had at the beginning of this episode, but having this in place is going to be much better. Even though it takes a lot more materials, I recognize that. It's going to be a lot better long-term to have this taken care of. Assuming we can divert badtide, obviously. But it's going to be great to have this taken care of so this guy can just keep on pumping during a drought. Which, again, normal mode, so it's going to be short, will be A-okay. And that reduces the amount of time we have to wait, or completely eliminates it, depending on the length of the drought, for water to make its way back down to here. Sound good? Sounds good. Alright, so dawn of day 14. We need to have a drought warning here. When we do, so we have 3 days to get the rest of this taken care of. I don't know that we'll get all of the logs in that time, but in that time, I can almost assure you it'll be time for the episode to end. So we'll stop it at the start of that next drought and pick back up in episode 3 to see what we can get into, how long of a drought it's going to be. Well, I guess we'll find out toward the end of the episode if I end it at the start of the drought. But I digress. I think we're going to be in an okay position provided we have all of this good to go. Do I have log storage anywhere else? Survey says I have 200 log storage. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's over here. That's 180. And then I've got a little one that is... That's for planks. Where's my... Oh, here it is. I guess that's fine. They're just taking this directly from there to there. I have 3 of these. That's 60 logs left to make. I don't know, 30 days. Probably not going to work. But we're only at -1 beavers, which means we're at +3. So that means it's lumberjack flag time. And that also means it's lumberjack flag time. And that also means it's lumberjack flag time. But I'm not going to put another one there. Instead, I'm going to spare you listening to me saying it's lumberjack flag time again. And I'm going to put this guy here. Put that guy there. And put that guy there. Because that's going to reduce their travel time while cutting. Honestly, if I were a little bit smarter, I would have done it over here. But this is a good balance between eventually getting to these trees and then also getting to this building site. And I think that is an important thing. So, builders will need to prioritize this, this, and this. We'll let them get into that. While we're working on that, I guess we could leave this on simulation and think about what we're doing over here. I would like to... I would like to reduce the amount of required stuff as much as possible. So we have extra depth here. To get to this height, we'll be building 3 tall in the middle. 1, 2, and 3. If we move it to somewhere over here, we're only building 2 high. But it's also going to be diagonal, which can be a pain. If we did it up here, we'd only be building too high. Like at this exact spot, there'd be very, very little building required. To get to this height, we would just have to build up here as well. But that's still, overall, less wood than building too high over here or across this gap. And it would divert it a lot sooner, assuming we could blast enough of a channel in here. So remember, this channel, this outside channel, I'll turn the construction thing off so you can see the water better. This water is what makes it into this area. This water is completely separate. Does not mix. It comes out of here. So while this does have the ability to become bad water, because it's a regular water seep, they all do that, we don't need to worry about it for right now. We should be focused on doing this. So apologies if you already left a comment telling me that, hey, why don't you just go up here? Well, I guess I hopped in my time machine, traveled to the future, and read your comment, and then got back on the time machine and came back to the past so I could build it. And if you haven't left that comment, then you know what? You can just lie and pretend that you were going to do it, and I would be none the wiser, and I would think you were a very intelligent and considerate person, and that is a good label to have. So let's, in the interest of making sure that this is going to work, let's get these levees in place right across here. And then in the middle of this, I'm going to put a couple of dams just for overflow. I'm guessing, based on the sources here, is this a... Okay, that's a regular water source. How many water sources do we actually have? One source, two source... is that... Okay, there's one over here. Three source. Don't know what strength they are, but I can't imagine it's very much. Also, the edge limit is technically not a thing anymore. Yeah, 4 dams could be overkill, but I'd rather be overkill and spend an extra, you know, what's that work out to? An extra 8 logs versus not have enough and then it be just, nope, that's the wrong one. And it'd be like an absolute cataclysm. So, that's what we're going to be doing. And to build this properly, we do have to get the beavers over here, which, yes, this is a longer travel distance compared to going over here. But assuming we still have another 3 full cycles to get over here and build this, we're going to be glad we did. Or I will. Feel free to not be glad about it, but that's your choice. So, at risk of, you know, causing yet more builder fatigue, I'm going to get these guys headed over this way. We already have a path coming this way over here. But this would be closer to come in this way. In theory... okay, I don't want to be dealing with theory. Yeah, that's also going to demand that we get into those explosives, but that's a lot faster, a lot easier than actually building this and getting that taken care of. We also need to make sure it's not going to flood through anywhere, which it doesn't look like. This will back up. I need to make sure I have my orientation set right. This will back up a little bit to come through here, but it should never get higher than halfway up this block, or I guess technically 2/3, somewhere in between there. So as long as this height is never lowered, and it looks like that's fine. The level up here isn't going to matter because it's going to flow down here, and then as long as the flow rate is sufficient through these, we'll be okay. So let's get back through the rest of the night here. Coming up on the maximum episode length I like for the early videos in these series. This is going to give us an opportunity to cut down some of these trees, cut through here. Obviously, I can't build a path through any of this completely, although I can get kind of close. Yeah, I think it's going to make the most sense to just come up this way. Put in a staircase. Would it be faster to cut across the top of this? Probably, but no matter what, we have to go around all of this, so probably it's going to make sense to just come through here, right around the trees. Yeah, just come through all of this. Selectively cut down trees. Just, is this a baby tree at 66%? It's probably not. No. Well, I could also just send a builder up here to get rid of it. That's always an option if we mark that as a priority. That would get us a path through here without it being a big deal. That's marked. These guys probably could not reach that. But we have a magical tool called Build Another Lumberjack Flag that will help us here. And since I don't have bridges, you know, I could unlock them, but honestly, it's going to cost more in planks to build these long bridges that would cost to just put in stairs. And, you know, stairs are pretty cool. Pretty easy to build. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'd always have to go up from this level anyway, so... Yeah, what's that, 28 planks? That's going to be cheaper than building 2 4x1 bridges, which we'd have to build a 4x1 and a 3x1 to get across this gap anyway. So there you have it. That is going to connect there, and there, and this is going to get us across to here. So we can do multiple build modes and get these guys in, hopefully without any weeping or gnashing of teeth. Get them down here. If they get stuck, then that's their problem. But we can mitigate beaver suffering by paying close attention when this does actually get constructed. Again, that's not going to be this episode because we're already at 56 minutes. And we have a day and a half until the drought starts. So what other preparations can we do before that time? Well, this dam is almost complete. We do have the logs to complete it. And this will, for at least this next drought, maybe the next 2, depending on when we get this bad tide 2 or 3. This will be a very, very good setup for us to not have to build any more water storage, so we can focus on diverting what's going to happen with the knowledge that our present and immediate future needs will be met decently enough with this current setup. We have 4 extra beds, we have 15 adults, we have 5 kits, we have technically no vacancies of consequence, even though it says -4. And I feel like we are in a very, very good position. We've got 1 beaver in this farmhouse. Probably could stand to give them another one, but I think we're going to want to make sure that this project can continue as fast as possible before it has a problem, not after. So once this is taken care of, we do still need to blast the diversion channel, which, yes, is going to use more dynamite, but if we manage to get into that stash, it's not going to matter because we're going to have, what, 200? 150. That can just go right here. We don't even need to put a gate, or well, it wouldn't be a gate because that's now an actual item in the game in the path network. But it wouldn't need a sluice or whatever the things that replace sluice are called, or whatever you want to call it, because the water level is only going to get high enough for this to actually matter during a bad tide. If a little bit of good water spills through here, it's not that big of a deal. We'll get to it eventually. It'll be all right. But the most important thing is securing an alternate route for bad water so that we don't kill all the beavers immediately near the beginning of a normal mode playthrough. So, this is where I'm going to end this episode. I do want to take another moment to say thank you to everybody who's had expressed tremendous support for this series. 25,000 views before episode 2. For a little creator like me, that's a whole lot, and I really appreciate it. Of course, the live streams have been really, really fun as well with the Iron Teeth. And I'm just glad you guys are here. Hopefully you're enjoying the videos. As always, I do read all the comments. And I can't always implement suggestions that everybody puts down, but I do always read them. And I very much appreciate you being here. Beard Boosters, of course, subsidize the channel so I can have a little bit more flexibility with if I need to take a day off from uploading videos or move things around. And most importantly, avoid sponsors on the channel. Those folks help subsidize things and just make it a little bit more secure to keep on doing all of our beaver fun here and help provide for me and people I care about. And I'm always going to be thankful. I'm never going to forget the support that you guys have very, very generously offered me this basically the entire time I've been making Timberborn videos for the past 4.5 years. So whatever it is you're doing the rest of your day, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you back again soon for episode 3 and then the other series we have going on as well. Stay safe, have fun. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.